we live? Are we live? We are live, I believe. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Write With Me live stream. I'm so glad you're here. I can't wait to get started. First things first, tell me if you can see me and hear me okay. Okay, that's always the first piece of housekeeping we have to get out of the way. Sorry I'm a couple of minutes late, you guys. I was running late because I was trying to get all my stuff into this room and trying to get some tea. So I have some tea in my cute little tea for one set here. Okay, everyone can see me? Awesome. Everything looks good? Great. So where I am right now, I'm a little bit farther away from the Wi-Fi, so if it lags at all, just try refreshing your page. Usually it catches up after a minute, so I apologize in advance for any lagging. I also apologize if I seem super tired today because my allergies have been horrible, so I had to take some allergy medicine and I'm really tired now. So in advance, if any of my answers to your questions today seem incoherent, that's why. So everyone can see me okay? Awesome. Welcome if you're just hopping on. I'm going to chat for a few minutes for those who are just hopping on right now. The way that these live streams are structured, if you're new here, is we do writing sprints. So we're going to do 3 writing sprints, 25 minutes each, with a short break in between, usually a 5 to 10 minute break, wherein I answer some questions that come up in the chat. And today I am working on a paper manuscript, so that's why I don't have a computer in front of me. But yeah, so that's what we'll be focusing on. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're editing or maybe outlining, maybe writing scene cards, or maybe drafting a first draft of a novel. Doesn't matter what you're doing, we all come together to show up for ourselves and our creativity and just get some writing time in. So if you are new around here and you haven't been a part of the writing retreat, it's not too late to join. This is a virtual writing retreat that's happening on my channel, and basically twice a week we show up and we write together. And if you're part of the Discord community, you might be in there already and have been communicating with the other members of the community and doing writing sprints. There have been so much productivity happening in that Discord community. It's so exciting to see, which, by the way, I actually, I want to set up a writing sprint in the Discord for today. So it looks like we've had some writers in there already doing some sprints this morning. That's awesome. We're going to get started with our first sprint in a minute. But tell me what you're working on today. I see some writers chatting over here talking about their projects. YA fantasy, historical fiction. Awesome. So exciting. Oh, by the way, if you're not in the Discord, the way you get into that is by joining my Patreon at any level. So all tiers of the Patreon have access to the Discord community, and the link to join that is in the description of this video. So, looks like you guys are working on a bunch of different stuff today. It's so exciting, so cool. Short stories, paranormal romance, awesome. So much writing is happening on this channel this month. It's so exciting to see. I'm really, really thrilled with this virtual writing retreat so far. It's been just a great respite from work and all of the usual chaos of everything. So it's been good. I'm gonna get my timer ready for our first sprint. I'm gonna go for 25 minutes. Whoops. So set a timer for 25 minutes, or you can just go by mine. It will ring in 25 minutes, and hopefully it's not too loud. In 25 minutes, we're gonna take a break, and I will chat with you guys and answer some questions that come through the chat. Okay? Sound good? Let's get started. 25 minutes. Let's go. I forgot to pour my tea. Sorry, guys. Sorry, hold on. I forgot to start the sprint here. Oh, somebody else did. Thank you. Someone else started the sprint in the Discord. Great. I'm going to join, but I don't have a word count because I'm just working on handwriting revisions. So. Sorry, shut that off rather quickly. I was trying to turn it down. But that was our first timer for sprint number 1. So, tell me in the chat, how did it go? My sprint went pretty well. Let's see, 1, 2... Basically, revised 7 pages. So, that's progress. Looks like everyone else had a great sprint. Awesome. You guys write so quickly. It's amazing. Great job, everyone. I don't really know what to put in the Discord because I'm editing. I'm not really writing, so I'll let the Discord think that I didn't write anything. It's kind of hard when you're editing because there's no like tangible word count that you can give, but it's okay. So I'm going to take a quick break and answer some questions, and then we're going to get into our next sprint. Okay, I know some questions came in earlier, but I missed them, so you guys are just going to have to post your questions again. And by the way, I'm more likely to see your questions if they come in as super chats because the message box pins them for longer. But I will try to answer as many as I see. Kind of a technical question from Brooke. What font size do you use? I usually like kind of a small font size for writing and also editing. I like to usually use like Adobe Garamond Pro is one of my favorite fonts to write in, and that looks nice at like size 12. But depending on the font, if it's like naturally a bigger, more open font, I'll probably go to like size 11. But I don't like to make it too small because then it's eye strain. From Rebecca, what are your favorite pens to use on paper manuscripts? My favorite pens to use are Sharpie pens. So right now I'm using a red ink Sharpie pen, and usually I'm more like detailed with highlighters and stuff, but I'm just keeping it simple today with that. And also, I don't think I have one here, but I also like using Micron felt tip pens. The 1/4 millimeter ones are my favorite because I like to write pretty small in the margins, and I just don't like ballpoint pens. They're not reliable. Okay, let's see. How can I write a sad scene without it becoming too monotonous and boring? Sad scenes are to really hone in on what your characters are feeling, what are your characters going through. If you can just like internalize those feelings and describe them through the style of this character's voice, then you don't even really have to think about making it sad, because really like whatever's happening is what's happening, but it's how the characters are perceiving it or how it impacts the characters that makes us feel the same emotions that the characters are feeling. So that's really your goal, is to make the reader feel the same emotions that your characters are feeling. And I think you'll find that once you start focusing on that, it automatically becomes very interesting to you as the writer. And of course, that means it will be interesting for the reader and it won't be monotonous. Let's see. How long should the acts in the 3-act structure be? That really depends. I know that like a lot of writers give like concrete templates for these things and talk about like this needs to happen on this page, this needs to happen at this percentage into the book. I don't really prescribe to templates like that get really, really specific, because I've seen stories that work in so many different formats. So it's like, who's to say there's one right way to do this? So when it comes to the 3-act structure, it really depends on like how long your book is, because you can use the 3-act structure in a short story, or you could use it in a novella, or you could use it in like a 200,000 word novel. So it really depends on like how long your book is. But I also think that the acts should kind of be like balanced. Okay, so you don't want to spend too long in the first act, but you don't want to make the first act happen too quickly either. So kind of all of them being the same length is what I usually aim for. But if the middle act ends up being longer or the climax ends up being longer, I try not to freak out about that too much, because once you get your reader past the beginning, past the inciting incident, and they care about the characters, you're good to go. Let's see. Super chat came in. Thank you to Adam. Because comedy is so subjective, do you ever find yourself at odds with editors and or beta readers over whether your jokes are funny? Yeah, it's true. Comedy is very subjective, and I know I have a very like niche sense of humor, in that my favorite types of comedy are like funny dialogue is really like my favorite kind of comedy. Like anything else that's beyond that, just like silly stuff happening that could happen to any character in any story, I don't really find comedic. But I do like witty banter and stuff. So I don't know. It really depends on like what your readers like and what you like as an author. I think that sometimes it's really important to pay attention to what your editor tells you and what your beta readers tell you. Like if they just do not get a joke, and especially if you get this more than once about a particular part of your book, then you might want to consider like rephrasing it or rewriting it or just deleting it, because you don't want your reader to get stuck on something that they're like, what does that even mean? I don't get that. So there will be moments that your beta readers and your editor find funny, things that like really pass the check with everybody, I would say is good to go. But pay attention to like warning flags where somebody is like confused. see. This is a good question from Samar. How do you weave internal conflict into a scene with lots of external conflict, such as arguments or massive commotion? I always find that a difficulty. That is difficult. I actually answered a question like this on my last Ask Abbie video, I think. Balancing internal conflict with external conflict. And honestly, I want to make a whole video about this because I get this question so much. But there are a few ways to do it. When there's a lot of action happening in the scene, I usually recommend having the characters interact and revealing their internal conflict through their interactions. So maybe a lot of commotion is happening. Some characters are at odds as far as what to do next, or maybe they're arguing about the next step, or something that's about to happen, or a physical fight that is breaking out, or a battle scene or something. Of course, it depends on the context of your book, but showing verbally what the characters are feeling in that moment is really helpful. And that is a good way to get the internal conflict out there by having your characters say what they're feeling in the moment, then hitting the pause button, so to speak, on the action to introspect, because that slows down the action, and you don't want to slow down the action if it's like stuff happening quickly. So basically you just want it to feel like a movie in your reader's mind, right? And if you think about that, you think about like, you know, any action scene of any movie that you like, and you know what the characters are feeling. Of course, there's the element of acting involved, and the visual medium of film is different because you can tell things differently. You can tell a story differently. But do you ever really need to stop and know what the character is thinking, or has the internal conflict been set up enough ahead of time so that when this happens to this character, we kind of have already predicted what they'll be feeling, what they'll be going through, and now we just need to drop a few hints for the reader to understand. Does that make sense? So basically what I'm trying to say is like less is more, and a lot of times it feels like, oh, I'm not showing enough internal conflict here, but actually it's coming across just fine to the reader. So that's my 2 cents. Now, let's get into our next writing sprint. Set up your clock for 25 minutes. I'm going to see if the sprint is going in the Discord. I think someone might be starting a sprint. No? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. Okay. Just started that, and I think everyone is joining. Awesome. I'm going to join again, even though I can't really give you guys a word count. Okay. Let's get our timers ready. 25 minutes. I'm actually going to turn this. That's a little bit more pleasant. The other one, like, startled me. Okay, let's go. Oh, sorry, I didn't see a super chat, I think. Amy just reminded me, pointed that out from Freda. How much dialogue is too much? I think that it really, as far as like, it depending on the scene that you're writing, if it's an action, as far as like balancing dialogue with action, I think that's a matter of taste, and it's also a matter of getting feedback from your beta readers and your editor as well, and also paying attention to other books when you feel like the dialogue is slowing down the scene, or you feel like, wow, this scene is really well balanced with dialogue and with description and action happening. Like, take note of what is that balance? Is there a ratio there? Is there science to that? Even highlighting dialogue and comparing that with how much action, how much narration, how much introspection is happening in this scene, and how does it all work together to give you an immersive experience. So that's something to think about for sure. Oh, another super chat came in. I know I'm delaying this here, but Thank you to Theropod Hunter. Does introducing the main villain in a later book series while having his or her henchmen introduced first distract from the character or add appeal? That's definitely a tactic. Like, I've talked about that with villains, like making your villain a misdirection, like pointing to a different villain. That can definitely work, and I've seen it done well. So yeah, I think it's definitely a doable plot device. Um, as long as we're not jumping out of the character's head to go to a different character like the villain and we have no idea how they're related. Like, as long as that's not happening, as long as we know why everything matters and why we're watching everything that's happening, I think it can totally work. Okay, I'm going to answer all the other questions that come in on the next break. But we have to get back into our sprint because the Discord is running and I'm not. I'm running my mouth. Okay. 25 minutes. Let's go.